Hi, it's Angela with another edition of our Friday Foray. Today's foray will bring us to Heinz Farm, where we will travel out in the woods in search for a secret fairy village. So let's get going, shall we? And we are traveling on the Pond Loop Trail right now. So let's enjoy. Today we're following the blue blazes. It's a really pretty trail. It's nice and cool out here because there's just enough shade. And there's some dappled sunlight, so it's not so dark. You can just barely hear any traffic. And there's definitely some birds out here. It's pretty cool. It's like the rock sprouted a tree. I never get tired of seeing these. They're just so pretty, seeing flowers full bloom in the woods. It's the season for wild mountain laurel. There's some more growing right up here. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. Isn't it pretty? All right, let's walk. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing through here today. It's about 75 degrees outside, but in the forest here, it feels much cooler than that, which is really nice. The trail is really well manicured. It's like crushed gravel. I like more dirted trails, but this is really pretty, so it's totally fine. There's another trail marker. We are going off to Heinz Farm. So let's see how far that is. Right up here, the trail actually crosses the road. So that's what we're going to do now. And it goes off into this wide open area on the other side. There's not a lot of cars on the road, so we don't have to wait that long, which is good. There's some water out here off to the right. It's really pretty. I was noticing it when I was driving in. You see it out there? And we've got a little bridge here, which is cool. So we're doing, like I said, the Pond Loop Trail today. And we are going to hook up with another trail as we move on here. And I will show you that when we get there. We've come up to a fork of sorts. I don't know where that one goes yet. We're going to stick on the main trail for now. We might loop back and go on that one instead. We'll see. So the mountain laurel is growing right up next to the trail over here. So we're going to go over and get a little closer view. It's a little bit past peak, as you can see, but it's still every bit as beautiful. Looks like there's a little walkway over here. I'm not sure where it goes, so let's find out. Off the beaten path a little bit. I think it just goes closer to the water, probably for people that go fishing. So let's keep going on the trail. Look at all this laurel growing here. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a very pretty trail. So it looks like we're coming up to a trail marker and another parking area. I don't think it's the same parking area that we went to earlier, but I'm not positive. I don't know. That might be the same one. I just didn't realize that I could start the trail across the street. I don't know what this is. There's this wooden box here. Somewhere for lost sunglasses. That's pretty cool. So here's the marker. We just came from the Pond Loop Trail, so now we're going to follow the Cabin and Stafford Trail, and we're going to see where it leads us. So let's go! This trail, it looks like it ran parallel to the other one for a little while, except this one goes much lower, so it's probably going to bring us closer to the water, I would think. Let's find out. The birds are singing. So now we are on an orange blaze trail. Let's see where it goes, and let's see if we can find those fairy houses. They have to be here somewhere. This part of the trail is much more rustic. So it doesn't have the crushed stone on it. It's just forest floor. So it's dirt with rocks in it. Probably not a good place to bring a baby stroller, but it's not overly complicated. And we are coming to a roped off section. Let's see what this is all about. This might be the elusive fairy forest. Ah, look at that! We found the fairy village. So, we are upon the old Sturbridge Fairy Village. The houses provide a home to the fairies that visit our woods. You may build small and hidden houses for the fairies, or you may help fix any houses that have started to fall down. The best materials to use are found in the landscape of the village itself. please do not use living or artificial materials. Forest fairies like houses that are made of stick and bark and leaves, pine cones, and even stones. So building close to the ground is also a really good idea, since fairies are little creatures and they like to live close to the ground. And always, always, always make sure that you respect the forest and treat the trails with care and respect. It helps keep the fairies coming back and makes them happy here in the forest. This little fairy village, well, it's a kind of inexpensive fairy village, was built in 2017 by the Sturbridge Girl Scout Troop 64510. And it's a pretty neat thing that they've done here. It makes me want to build a fairy village at home now. These are the sweetest things ever. If I were a fairy, I would be in heaven having this whole village. And the houses go on and on and on all through the forest. It's really neat. That's the super deluxe house over here. A very large family lives there. Maybe the royalty of the fairy kingdom lives in that one. So many little houses. Very cool. I need to come back here and build one. And then over here, we're going to go over a bridge and continue on with our trail. We're climbing up a little bit of a hill here. Not a huge one, but definitely a hill. And then it looks like maybe we are coming to a fork in the road. Let's see where we are going. So, we could go on the Stafford Turnpike Trail, or we could take the cabin loop. Let's take the cabin loop and see where it goes. So we're gonna go this way. We're gonna continue on with the orange blazes and see where we end up. Do you hear the birds? Looks like there's another marker up here. Let's see what it says when we get closer. Perhaps that is the other side of the cabin loop? Maybe? Let's see what it all says here. It just says cabin loop trail this way. So let's see where we go. You hear a little more of the traffic noise here, but not much. And we are following yellow blazes. I do not know the history of this trail yet, but I am going to do some research on Heinz Farm and find out a little more about it, and I will definitely add that into the video at the end. Probably as an intro, actually. So this is a really pretty part of the trail. We're coming up on a downslope over here, covered with crushed stone and surrounded by mountain laurel, which is absolutely gorgeous. And out there in the distance, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a farmhouse out there, and I imagine that might be the Heinz farmhouse. We're going to take a little detour over here and see if we can see any frogs. Oh, we'll get a better view of the farmhouse. See the water out here. And the farmhouse is out beyond those trees. Let's head back on the trail. This is really pretty. We're still following yellow blazes. Lots of laurel. So much of it. There's so much mountain laurel here, they could call it Laurel Woods. All right, let's keep following and see where we end up. So I wonder, since it's called Cabin Loop Trail, if there is a cabin somewhere along this trail. Or perhaps there was one at one point in time. Or maybe there still is one. Look at that. We have found the cabin. Let's go check it out. There's this little cabin out in the woods. A very old cabin out in the woods. And it's right on the water. Not a very safe looking cabin. It's definitely seen better days. But a cabin all the same. We've got what looks like carpet hanging from the ceiling, which is kind of weird, but okay. Looks like some kids have been partying in here. Not a surprise. Which is probably why they had to board it up. Because it's just not in any sort of condition that is safe at all to be standing in. You can see right up through the roof rafters. It looks like there's a mattress up there on the loft. So maybe someone lived in here at one point. And it's kind of cool that there's a cabin out here in the middle of the woods. It's built up on these fallen trees. I'm sure it was a really nice place a while back. Maybe a long while back. So that is the cabin that the loop is named after. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. So that is the cabin. Let's keep walking. We'll take one last look at it. The old cabin is truly a mystery. No one really knows for sure what it is except for perhaps an old hunting cabin, but no one knows absolutely with any certainty. There is a rumor that it might be taken down because it isn't very safe and there are people that try to get into it. So it might or might not be there if you travel this trail. All right, let's continue on. There's another side trail begging me to follow it. But we're going to stick on the main trails today. And maybe there'll be another video that will show some of these side trails and see what we see. There are a lot of roots that are sticking up out of the ground here, and they just kind of pop up very surprisingly. So just watch your step if you take this trail somewhere. Looks like it gets grassy in the trail up here. I wonder if this is going to bring us out through that meadow that we saw earlier. Ah, there's another fork in the trail. We're going to go this way. I don't know where that one leads. That might be one of the side trails that we didn't take earlier. It's just a shortcut to this. Looks like that might have been a trail at one time, but not anymore. So now it looks like we are following the orange blaze. I don't know if that means we've switched trails. I didn't see a marker that said we did, but that doesn't mean we didn't. We see a stone wall out here, which would indicate this might have been either someone's home or this was a land marker, which seems more likely because it does seem pretty long and it goes on both sides of this main walkway. If you see, it goes down and over. So unless the house was right next to where this, what looks like a brook goes through, which is possible, there might have been a house here. It looks like it has the potential to have been a cellar hole. So it's possible there was a house here at one time. So now we are on Stafford Turnpike and we are going over bridge number 2. So there's more stones here. It might have been a really big house, or like I said, it could have just been a land demarcation. So it looks like I was right, and this brings us out to that meadow and a boardwalk that's been built over it, which would be bridge number 3. And it's just a really pretty meadow. With little buttercups. I remember when I was a kid, these used to be a very cool thing. You'd hold them underneath your chin and it would turn your chin yellow. And it was just a matter of the light and how it would reflect off the buttercup onto your chin. And it must have been pretty memorable if I still remember it to this day. We see some other wildflowers out in the field. We're going to the sunny part of the trail. There's another field over here. And we have a trail marker, so we're going to go right here. There's a cool little bench for sitting. There's actually more than one bench. There's benches on both sides, which is pretty cool. So if you need a break, you can take one. We're going to keep on going. And we're going to see where this brings us. These are pretty interesting. Look at how the leaves You see how they're all curled up? All right, let's see where this goes. Harold Hines previously owned the Hines farm, and he originally was born in Sweet Springs, Missouri, and after serving in World War II, he settled in Sturbridge, and he worked in town up until his retirement, and he had this much beloved farm property here in Sturbridge. And he passed away in 2008. And when he passed away, a large part of his farm was put into conservation for the enjoyment of all. And that is the property that Hines Farm is on now. Just because it's so pretty. Look at all the Shasta daisies out here. And we have a bunch of baby's breath. It's really pretty. It is definitely a lot warmer in the sun than it was in the forest. I'm really feeling the 75 degrees now. It looks like we're about to turn the other way, so I think we're in luck. And we won't have to turn back. We're just gonna follow the trail. We got some more daisies over here. The breeze is really nice. And it's a very, very, very peaceful place. Oh my goodness. And we are walking up into the shade. And it's instantly gotten about 10 degrees cooler. So this is an upslope. Not extreme, but definitely a little challenging. So now we're nearing the top of the hill. If you have asthma, you might want to bring your inhaler just in case. It's really, really beautiful. And with the exception of the airplane overhead, there's really not much human noise around. There is yet another bench over here. Let's go over there a minute and admire the view. You can see the mountains out in the distance over there. We came from way down there. Let's zoom in a little bit and straight over there, you will see the mountains. I'm not sure which ones those are, but you do see them. All right, let's continue on our trail. So quiet. I think if I owned a place like this, I would have horses out grazing in that field. Maybe some big old draft horses. Wow, look at this. We found some pink ones. We've got moths and butterflies and bees all buzzing around. And we come across another fork in the trail. That one looks pretty overgrown, so we are going to go this way and reduce our tick chances. And here we have a sign. All right, I'm going to read this. The Worcester Stafford Turnpike. Crossing this property is probably the longest remaining section of any 19th century turnpike in Massachusetts. Completed in 1810, the Worcester Stafford Turnpike was part of a growing network of privately financed toll roads, which helped knit together a growing nation. Turnpikes generally carried commercial traffic, and the trip from Worcester to Hartford via Stratford took about 12 hours, with horse changes at 10-mile intervals and inns like the Public House. By joining the town to the larger world, in this case primarily Worcester and Hartford, and their consumers, the road encouraged local manufacturing and market farming and helped end the isolation of a rural community. So that's where we are today. And this is what it looks like now. So let's keep walking. I see a butterfly. I don't know where he went. So, I know I'm dating myself now, but if you look up at this field here, don't you think of Little House on the Prairie and those little kids running through all that and rolling down the hill? That's all I can think. I've got the music in my head right now. It's like an earworm right now. I don't know how many of you have seen that show. I don't know if maybe more of you have heard of it than have seen it, but anyone my age has probably seen pretty much every episode of that show. And in the beginning of the show, that's what you saw, was that big field and the little girls coming through the field. It's definitely much more shade on this side of the field, which is a welcome relief from the heat. And I see more butterflies. There's a little monarch on the trail in front of us. I'm going to try to zoom in. You see him? And off he goes. In 1806, the Shumway family petitioned the Commonwealth for a charter to build the Worcester-Stafford Turnpike. By 1810, it was in service. In the early 19th century, highways between towns were built to foster economic growth. In fact, Sturbridge was a small town in 1815 with only 46 buildings. But with the stagecoaches stopping at the public house, it began to prosper. Town records indicate that professions like innkeeper, saddler, blacksmith, they became more popular as travel increased. It looks like this trail goes back around into the forest again. So this must be the other side of the forest. Because I'm pretty sure we came in on that side. So let's go check this out. We're scaring the ground birds. So we're still following the orange blaze, which I'm assuming is the Stafford Turnpike. So back many, many, many moons ago, they used to travel this same road that we're walking with their horses and carriages and wagons and buggies, and they were able to deliver goods everywhere, all the way from Worcester to Hartford and back. That trip takes a much shorter amount of time nowadays with a car. We've come a long way. So it looks like there's offshoots of this trail over here too. We're not going to follow it today, but like the other ones, we will come back and explore all those little off trails. For now, we're going to follow the main trail, which looks like that might be another sub trail, but we're going to follow the main trail this way. And I can hear cars, so I'm assuming we are getting closer to the road. We've definitely gone from meadow to full-on forest again. Looks like yet another side trail that we will explore another day. But for now, we're going to stay on the Stafford Turnpike. We might not have a horse-drawn coach, but we will follow the turnpike, and it looks like we are coming up on the parking area and the end of today's hike. So, as we get to the main head of the trail, I will check for the mileage and let you know how far we traveled. Oh, no, maybe I was wrong. That looks like maybe it was someone's house over there. So we aren't at the main head of the trail. You will want to bring bug spray or spray yourself really good if you come here, because there are a lot of black flies. Got squirrel gymnastics going on in the tree. I wish the camera here could capture it better, but it can't. Oh, and this is going to bring us back to the other side of the meadow. Which is very sunny, as you can see. If you look in the meadow, you see these little bird houses, and that helps keep the pollinators around, and it helps give the birds a safe place for sanctuary against all of the predators. Because I'm sure there are owls and hawks and maybe even eagles out here that would make quick work of some of the smaller birds in the area. And those birds of prey are not going to be able to get at the smaller birds if they're in these little houses. We also have some cattails out here in the field, which used to be one of my favorites when I was a kid. And we're coming up on another one of the birdhouses that looks like it hugs the trail. So we'll be able to get a closer look and see if maybe there's someone in there. There's a lot of houses. It's pretty cool. And we will not disturb them if there's anyone in there. We will let them live peacefully. If you see, there are birdhouses all over the place here, and more dragonflies. And we are coming back up into the woods again. It's hard to believe this was once a highway. I'm not sure what this sign is over here. Let's check it out. It's all about the conservation project. So, it says, the town of Sturbridge has partnered with the United States Department of Agriculture's Natural Resources Conservation Service and the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife to restore and expand habitat for grassland and shrubland birds, such as the bobolink, the blue-winged warbler, and the eastern towhee at Hines Farm. So those are what those birdhouses are for, no doubt. Funding for this project was provided through the Federal Wildlife Habitat Incentives Program and administered by NRCS. Mowing the fields a minimum of every 3 years will improve the quality of grassland vegetation. To protect ground nesting birds, mowing will be done outside of the active nesting season, which is April 15th through July 31st, so now. Establishing shrubland on field borders will offer a gradual transition between grassland and forested habitats. This successional habitat will be created by retaining native shrubs and removing tall growing trees. Shrub swamp areas will be monitored for invasive species, which will be removed if found. And the benefits of this is that this 84-acre town-owned property offers grassland, shrubland, upland forest, and shrub swamp habitats, all important for a variety of species in the greatest need of conservation. Early successional habitats, such as native grasslands and shrublands, are declining throughout Massachusetts and New England, as many of our once open fields grow into mature forests are dominated by non-native invasive species or are developed. So managing Heinz Farm for diverse native plant habitats will help maintain native species diversity across the landscape. This project will also help protect freshwater species, including rare aquatic plants and animals living in the watershed. This restoration project will benefit Sturbridge residents by maintaining this scenic natural area for all to enjoy. And we are enjoying it today. All right, you ready to get back on the trail? Let's go. So we're going to go back out into the forest where it's nice and shady and cool. I hear a rooster somewhere. That's not a protected species here, but that must belong to those people where we saw the house back there. And here looks like another fork in the trail. Let's see where we're going here. So this way, we'll return to the parking. And this way, if you remember this sign from earlier, we followed the Cabin Loop Trail over to the Stafford Turnpike Trail, came down the whole Stafford Turnpike Trail. So we have done all of the main trails here now, and we are heading back towards the car. So here, we are going downhill at an angle, so it's not as extreme. And this is another crushed gravel trail. Easy on some feet, not easy on others. And looks like we have another bridge over here. This would be the one that we traveled on earlier. And we can take another look at the fairy forest on our way back out to the car. Now we're going to go back up this little hill here. And just like that, we are back at the parking lot. So we're at the end of the trail now, and we have done a total of 2.2 miles, and that was following the Cabin Loop, the Pond Loop, and the Stafford Turnpike. Next time, we might either try some of the side trails that we saw today, or we might even go across the street to the lead mine trail, and that seems like it's a little more extensive. So I'm going to do some research, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for joining me today.